speaking of Unforgiven, USA versus Europe is a balancing power in women's soccer shifting. TheGuardian.com reports, U.S. soccer is ready to grow up, in a sense, adapting to the new reality of the global game, but are the people in the courtroom and the boardroom are really ready to grow up as well? Yeah, they're just not growing up. The next 15 months will determine whether the balance of power in women's soccer will shift to Europe or remain in the United States. It's in Europe. There he took it. Europe is controlling women's football. There's no doubt about it. They're doing some pretty cool things. And who in the right mind would not want to play for Man City or Man United or Liverpool to wear that jersey versus Portland Thorns? I'd rather play for Liverpool with no fans or limited fans than for the Thorns. To say you play for Liverpool, that's a big deal. Anyways, reading on. But that's just me. Will U.S. women's players resolve their lawsuit with U.S. Soccer and sign a collective bargaining agreement that allows players to gain experience with European clubs while also bolstering the NWSL? And would that agreement leave U.S. Soccer with resources to shore up a faltering player development system and perhaps even pay a men's team that has gone without a CBA for nearly 2 years? Or will the dysfunctional reign with an aging generation of U.S. soccer players crashing out in Europe while the NWSL and youth programs fall behind? They're not falling behind. It's the same athletes coming up. Nothing's changed. I'm going to an ECNL event this weekend to watch the same stuff I see every year. Same. Nothing changed at all. It's the same play. It's just we have athletes, but we're not teaching them technique, and it's disgusting. But that's another topic. This fall, several U.S. players are getting competitive games in England, WSL, while the USA's NWSL play mini seasons, and the women's national team has no one to play thanks to the USA bungled COVID-19 response. What? Oh, it's our fault. Whatever. They've gone with coach Vlatko blessings and perhaps a hasty revision to the national team's contract. The postponement of the Olympics and the declining numbers of players on the federation contracts complicated the deal's restrictions on overseas plays, and neither U.S. Soccer nor team representatives would confirm whether those restrictions were waived or rewritten. And this is a tough time to get any deal from U.S. Soccer because they're hurting financially. But I do agree with taking money away from the federation when it comes to the CEO and these guys making a killing. Dan Flynn, and forgot the other guy's name. They're making $800,000 and $900,000 respectively, and we're paying for their gym membership. That is ridiculous. I covered that in another podcast. It just makes me insane that their $850,000 annual contract wasn't good enough because they still wanted them to pay for $150 a month for a gym membership because the $850,000 wasn't good enough. As sanguine as U.S. coaches and officials may be over the prospect of Sam Ewis and Roosevelt leading Manchester City into a pair of derbies, against Tobin Heath, Christen Press, and Manchester United, the marquee players' movement overseas has bolstered the WSL's push to supplement the NWSL as the world's best women's soccer league. Like the Premier League, the WSL is becoming an international brand. Games are now broadcast in the U.S. on NBC networks. Yeah, the NWSL is done. What are you talking about? It's done. There's too many words. The acronym, it's a 4-letter acronym for them. Or 4-letter. It's an acronym of 4. National Women's Soccer. It's too many. I confuse the NWSL with the WPSL, there's just too many. PASL. There's just too many. It needs to be like Major League Baseball, MLB, NBA, NFL, UFC. Oh, I think we'll just NWSL. No, you're done. The WSL kicked your butt with an acronym of 3. That's what you should do. But what do I know? I don't know anything. I just report random things because I'm stuck here on COVID. I want to go back to work, like person to person. I think you've got to look at the quality of players that are now coming into our league, said Emma Hayes, coach of the defending WSL champion Chelsea and the former coach of the Chicago Red Stars. It's a destination for top players worldwide. Every game's a tough game. U.S. women's players' support of their home country's league is baked into their collective bargaining agreement. In addition to national team salaries of $100,000 for some players, U.S. Soccer pays NWSL, geez Louise, salaries at least $70,000, at least to 22 players. In exchange, the team agreed to limit the number of players under federation contract who could go overseas, which is kind of BS. They should let them all go. But I get why they're trying to control that because they want to keep the ABCD league going, the four-letter acronym I can't remember. Should be 3. But that deal expires at the end of 2021. One complication, the team and the federation are still bogged down in a lawsuit over pay. A judge ruled in the U.S. soccer favor on most of the serious issues. So the team is both appealing that decision while proceeding on a less controversial matters the judge less intact. The sides are due in court January, but COVID-19 has made the dockets even less predictable than usual, and it is a problem. It's a big problem. I don't see them winning it. By the time they finish the litigation or whatever, they're going to be on their next collective bargaining agreement. You agree to these terms, but we don't like them because we performed well in a World Cup where it was B-level competition. What do you mean B-level? Well, the women's don't have the rights like the U.S. does. The freedoms we have in the United States, especially for women and young ladies playing the game, is different than in Brazil, than in third world countries where soccer is king for the men's side. So, yeah, it's not as difficult of competition as one would think. It's still World Cup. Congratulations. But let's be honest about it. If it was truly a world stage, and it is changing, as things change, the U.S. women's will be no different than the U.S. men's because the competition will be too difficult because culture will always win. Reading on. The practical issues in that the lawsuit creates a moving target for what is fair under the CBA, said UCLA law professor Stephen Bank, who has written extensively on the multitude of soccer-related lawsuits in the U.S. The women have been asking for equal pay in a far different sense than the purported equal pay deals in Norway, Australia, and England, where their men's and women's teams receive equal percentages of tournaments, bonuses, but not equal dollar amount, and defining equal is difficult when the women's get salaries, NWSL subsidies, and benefits, while the men only get bonuses. So it's very confusing of what equal pay. And it's not about equal pay when it comes to Megan Rapinoe and company. It's more of, we're going to make you pay for the past and the mistreatment of women. There is problems like how they fly and all those things, and they're not treated the same. I agree. There is problems I can see, but they're treated number one throughout the world. There's no doubt. The U.S. is always number one, even though people want to make us seem like U.S. is such an evil place to be, even though it's the leader of the free world. We're evil. They want to paint that picture because if they can't paint that picture, you can't get clicks and no one's going to like you. And that's why Megan Rapinoe's sort of fit, because that's what she does. That's why she's attacking Manchester United. It's like, just because you're taking care of it now, it doesn't excuse what you did in the past. She's very selective with, who she'll forgive. She'll forgive her brother, and have understanding, but not Manchester United. They're evil. They've been around 200 years, and say that 50 years ago they were first to get the women's games going. She'd be mad at them about what they did 70 years ago. It's not a world I want to live in, where you can attack anybody. It's easy. We're humans. We have flaws. It is what it is, and it's just not a place I want to live in. And I'm done talking about that. I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about monster trucks.